So this is my Sears Suburban 10 build, repowered with a 420cc Predator motor. I was able to get the hood on. I'll show you that in a minute. So I was able to use the stock throttle cable that came with it. I wired it with I used just a motorcycle battery that I had, and you can see I just mounted a couple of pieces of angle iron in there, and then my ground wire for the ignition gave me a little piece of screw sticking through, so I just hooked some bungee on there, and then I just used a cotter pin, and I just made myself a little battery stay. It's nice and secure. I reused the factory Predator ignition, and then I didn't have any 6-gauge cable, but I had an old set of jumper cables, and so I just put some red tape on the jumper cable to recognize the hot, and then I pulled the ground right to the motor right there. So far it works really well. I had to move the stay to the side because the gas lid was in the way. I had to cut out the mount for the front grille because the head hit it, the valve cover hit it, and then you can see that hole there. Probably don't need it, but I thought it would help vent exhaust gases, so I put it in there anyway, so you can see the way the head was going to hit that. Those are the stock tires from the beginning. I just re-greased all the spindles and the bearings and everything, and added a couple of inner tubes, and for what I'm doing, they're going to work just fine. You can see it closes. Not closed all the way, but I had to cut some stuff out of the way. I cut a little bit too much right here, but I was kind of cutting and fitting and cutting and fitting as I went. That side fit on pretty well. I was able to, this pulley came from Tractor Supply. See my belt is probably going to go here pretty quick. This is the belt that came with the tractor. I don't have any idea how old it is, but probably really old. And I was able to use the belt stays, and I just cut them short. It had a big 4-inch wide pulley on it, so I just cut those off a little bit. The clutch is the stock clutch, but I changed the spring configuration, and again, Tractor Supply, and I welded the clutch in a different spot because it was attached to the motor originally. The motor that was on it was seized. So push down the clutch, it takes the tension off the pulley. So my throttle, and it works. I mean, you probably don't need to repower this with that for this big of a motor. If the throttle's up and you let the clutch out too fast, it pops wheelies. But I very rarely use it at for my gardening and stuff. I very rarely use it at anything other than idle. So the clutch or the throttle is not the same. It's the same throttle, but it only has that much throw because it's just different compared to the stock. So I just had to make sure so when someone gets on, they don't try to jack it up. But it just attached right there. That's as far as it goes. So it's got more than enough power. I changed the fluid in the transaxle, 5 quarts of 30 weight. It worked fine before, but it needed an oil change because I don't know how long it'd been since it got the oil changed. I got this tractor for free from a buddy of mine who was moving, and like I said, had a seized motor. So it came with the plow. I got a disc and a harrow and a scraper blade. I got to change this part of the 3-point because it's not long enough for my scraper blade, and then I had to just put fresh cotter pins in there. That's actually replacement. It's just a piece of rebar that someone had built through there, but these are the factory tires. Everything works. When you put the clutch on, when you put the choke on, it runs just fine. I really could have done it without electric start. The motor came with it, but if you can save yourself a couple extra bucks, I can reach the choke from the seat, and then I can pull start it from the seat. So you actually don't need electric start, because you can literally, this motor starts just from the seat. It's really, really easy. So you can see out here when I had to cut this, I had to change that all around because it was carving into the air cleaner a little bit. But never built one of these before. I didn't even know it was a thing till I bought the motor and started seeing if they were out there, and I didn't. So apparently it's a thing. So this is my build. I was able to get everything closes pretty well. So I probably put $300 in the motor, and I maybe have another $50 in inner tube and oil and springs and a bunch of fresh bolts. I was able to put the side plates back on. So for a free tractor, this thing pulls like a machine. I can't believe how strong it pulls, and it's just a really cool little tractor. So that's my build.